This is Point Black, coming in hard and off the card, and coming with that flow, straight from the barrio. Now, we coming with that heat from the damn street. You know what I'm saying? With the boom bit to the line as lives. Because line as lives. Because this is what we do. Now, earlier I showed a Lex, or I was running a vid that you're going to hear and see about. And it's not going to be nice. Of course, we know that a lot of people don't like to hear the truth. But today we have to put the truth into perspective based on everything that we know and everything that we have seen. Because one thing these people depend on is what we call dumb generationing, which means the old ones are gone, died out, been brainwashed probably most or many, you know what I'm saying, in teaching the garbage from and facilitating the garbage from the bullshit. So when a generation is passed and another generation passes, another generation, and it comes to your time now, of course, there were many things that you did not know. It's the same thing from when we are gone and many generations to come past us, if survive these beasts, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things that of this time that they won't know. You know what I'm saying? And it'll be controversial and so on and so on. So the other video that you're going to see, my other video, my other joint, I spoke about um, uh, Mary, uh, I think her name is Lifkowitz. Yeah, Lifkowitz or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Lifkowitz, Mary Lifkowitz, who was debating with uh, Dr. Ben, you know, yeah, Dr. Ben, Henry Clark, you know what I'm saying? That we call him Uncle Ben, you know what I mean? But it was a debate between Mr. Clark, you know what I'm saying, Henry Clark, you know what I'm saying, and Mrs. Lichowitz, and there were Lifkowitz. There was many others on the panel, but we know that I said that she was a Russian. No, she's not a Russian. I think she's something else. So I'm putting a correction on that. So when you hear that in the joint, you'll know that, you know what I'm saying, it's a correction. I don't think she was Russian. I'm not too sure what her nationality is, but from what Dr. Ben was saying, we kind of pick up on what her nationality is. And we're not going to say it up here because, you know, it was said in Dr. Ben's way. So we're going to leave it on that note with Mr. Ben, you know what I'm saying? You know, you know, Dr. Henry Clark. You know what I mean? I think his name is Dr. We call him Dr. Henry Clark, but his name we call him Ben. Ben Dr. Henry Clark, I think is his name. And he was debating with them, and I made a mistake in calling her nationality or whatever she subscribed to as her culture. You know what I'm saying? As Russian, but Mary Lipkovich, it might not even be that. It might be something else. But at the same time, before we get any further in our analysis, we have to speak on Mrs. Likowicz. You know, when she was up there debating, we could tell exactly who she was working for. Mr. Ben is going to say it because I knew for well who she was working for. You know what I'm saying? We all knew. Many people knew. It wasn't just me. Many people knew of her nonsense and so on, and this associated people who fund these people who have been speaking about African history because their job was to erase, like Dr. Ben said, you know what I'm saying, from the minds of the people of the glory and the glory and the pinnacle of the African culture in which Africans were the first to bring alphabet, you know, even counting from 1 to 10, like you said, you know what I'm saying, in many ways was, you know, Africans brought that to the world. It doesn't matter whether it's sub-Sahara, you know what I'm saying, the Nubians, you know what I'm saying, Kush, you know what I'm saying, Mesopotamia, all that's African. Libya, all that's African. And Africans were there. But see, in their world, because generations have passed and many in America do not know of their own culture because they've been robbed of that mentally through school and so forth. They want to try to act as if like while they're doing this brainwashing garbage, you know what I'm saying? They know many of us didn't go for it, and many of us are speaking up, even down to Mr. Henry Clark, you know what I'm saying? And E.B. Du Bois and, Sheikh Ante Diat and so forth and so on. And the job is to make sure that we understand, and like you said, we can talk to each other and go to the facts and the science and all of this and that and so forth on. And some of us are looking for the what is that is, you know what I'm saying, not just what is and already is. And that goes for every scholar and every side, not including me, you know what I'm saying. It doesn't have to always be, we know the findings, we know all this and that. We can pinpoint this, we can pinpoint that, a certain understanding in these ways, you know what I'm saying? And that's very important, you know what I mean? But at the same time, we have to start looking at the fact of how many people seem to want to control the narrative, but at the same time don't want to respect who created the narrative to begin with, going back hundreds of millions of years, even before there was a Europe, even before there was anybody anywhere on the planet. It was nine. It was black. You know what I'm saying, in all ways. You know what I mean, and that's just the way it was. You know what I'm saying, and we brought these things not to be one to be oppressor, or one to be, this person who will destroy humanity and so forth, as if they're doing so. That's how you know that they're fake. Because anybody that wants to destroy humanity, or a whole race of people, is fake to begin with. So of course, any narrative that you have, they probably going to try to steal it, co-opt it, flip it, and then try run it back on you while they're doing the demonistic garbage to you at the same time, because they feel in their mind that they literally have you fooled off as to the understanding of creation in itself. So we have the right to do this, and we have the right to do that to people, and nobody should say anything. And if they do, oh, this, that, they do the protest, and then it goes away. But the person is still under the guise, and the race is still under the guise, because Africans didn't subscribe, like Dr. Ben said, to no race. That wasn't us. You know what I'm saying? Europeans, I knew that years ago. You know what I'm saying? I never got a chance to really sit down and speak with Mr. Clark. You know what I'm saying? But I'm sure me and him would have had such beautiful, I mean, I would have loved to sit and talk to this man. You know what I mean? And just listen to what he has to say. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what black people must do. We must start to understand when it comes to the elders. We must start to extract from them that know and is speaking common, true, great sense and positive truths to the words and which of science itself as a whole. You know what I'm saying? To be able to unload that into you. This is how Africans do. You know what I'm saying? They are making sure that that doesn't happen, because they have many black people who will deny their own and help to carry out the wishes of the oppressor upon their own people, while they think they're getting a nut, or maybe a mixed race breed, which 9 times out of 10 sometimes can bring out a nut for sure. You know what I'm saying? Because we have seen it millions of times. And this is saying people who think because of skin, maybe a light skinned person, or what they call a mulatto, or whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm saying? I'm a light skinned person, that they are better than the dark skinned people in which they fucking come from. So we know that a lot of the bullshit has been going on and facilitating. But I got news for you. Going out to the light skinned brothers and sisters, black is back by popular demand. So you could carry on with all the nonsense it is, because if you look across even the YouTube scope, while it's busy censoring everything that I say and do, you would see that even white scholars are now telling them the truth to their face. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter whether they shift certain little truths around. So you got to be able to understand the science. And if you're doing the research, then you would know when they're telling a lie, or when they're shifting the narrative to go from this place to that place and say it start there, like Mrs. Lickowitz or whatever her name is doing, because we know what race she belongs to. Not is not Russian. So take get out your head, because I correct that when you see the video or whatever. You know what I'm saying? She is full of garbage, and that's straight up. She is there to control the narrative, scrupuate, mix the witch's pot, and mix everything together and come up with a ball of chaos. That's all she's doing. So people don't pay any attention to that. While you while you indoctrinate, you know what I'm saying, the people's minds of the uh, of the disgrace to the human race by watering down African history. You know what I'm saying? And that's a complete disgrace to the human race. And that goes for the white race as well. You know what I'm saying? You can understand that. But Mrs. Lickowicz, whatever her name is, with up there with Dr. Ben, she said in one of her statements, she was saying that the woman asked her, "Have you ever been to Africa?" She said no. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even going to go into what a little lip service on that. Then he asked her, "Have you ever studied in Africa?" No. But she's speaking and writing books, you know what I'm saying, for an association who've been running for so long, uh, uh, giving them money to speak about and study African history. When you never studied in Africa, you ain't African, you're a last race. So, you know, she asked her, did she ever do that? Well, how can you speak on Africanism when you've never been to Africa? Many of us are accused of that. We've never been to Africa, and she's never been. So how she's high scholar scientist is what I didn't understand. And how many years did she run this here bullshit when she never been to Africa? Never studied in Africa, never been to Africa. You know what I'm saying? So how do you know what you're talking about? And then she said because she studied Greek history. So what they got to do, because I notice most rappers too, when they rap, they don't rap about Africa either. So don't give me that bull, because we spot that years ago. You know what I'm saying? When years ago, you know what I'm saying, you got a lot of brothers talking that easy Afro centric in their rap music and so on. But after a certain amount of years of them signing or of these contracts and shit, you know what I'm saying, they started taking that away and wouldn't even promote the guys who had that conscious style of rap in many ways. You know what I'm saying? You know, in the last days of the conscious rapping and so forth on, I noticed people like Mortal Technique and stuff like that was still banging and doing its thing. Now I mean, but a lot of those rappers never got the chance to really show their art form in that cultural understanding, because they didn't want that in in the black people minds of the new generations that were coming up in the, you know what I'm saying, in the 90s and the 2000s and so forth on and so forth on. A lot of that started fading out so they could brainwash the world, because their whole intention is what Mr. Ben said, Ben Henry Clark, that he said, what they really want to do to the African people. So they want to wash it out of everybody's mind so they can do the garbage that they're doing. Now, in more ways than one, we see South Africa is still, probably doing the same stupidness over there that I told them not to do, you know what I'm saying, and not get involved with, and probably it still went down the road with it anyway. And I'm hoping at the end, because that would be one of the methods and ways that they're using to depopulate in more ways than one in many things. So we have to start looking at, these type of things, you know what I'm saying? Because we've seen that in a many, many different cultures over many, many years, this constant barrage of depopulation and genocide and all kinds of stupidness going on. You know what I'm saying? And if careful, like I said, and we're gonna say it again. Now, I mean, when they're done with us, who's next? You know what I'm saying? Because that always seems to be their little rule. So we have to start looking at these things. It ain't no shame in the game, you know what I'm saying, for nothing. Not for me, because my people have rocked the world. And that's a fact and point. Easy. You know what I'm saying? So now we're gonna jump in here. We see, you know what I'm saying, some news coming in. We see the Medford pharmacy killer speaks for the first time Wednesday at 7 p.m. on Crime Files, and another football in the making. You know what I'm saying? We see another one coming in here where we're looking at the situation where we see. Um, hold on just a second. We see at least one upstate New York County say it will welcome asylum seekers from New York City. Okay, as we see, we're beginning to see a lot of this going on, and it's not just asylum seekers. This is not when they speak about asylum seekers. One thing you're gonna have to understand is this is not asylum seeker. That's the words they're using in order to brainwash you into believing into something. This is something in which they trumped up. You know what I'm saying? Nobody, no millions of people is going to leave their country based on, doing a lot of redirecting on my shit too, based on anything to do with asylum seekers. I mean, people leaving the country and then bringing them away talking about asylum seekers when you're talking about 80,000, 40,000, 50,000, 4.9 million. That doesn't even make sense. That has a lot to do with some form of replacement theory, if you ask me. You know what I mean? Because these people probably figure it might end up in the hands of the black man. You know what I'm saying? And they want to make sure that they never let that happen. So this is a part of that plan. You know what I'm saying? So black people have got to wake up. We see Wake Up America, California governor responds to target removing some LGBTQ merchandise. As we see, as we see. You know what I'm saying? Some of the merchandise he wanted to remove. But we don't have time to sit here with that nonsense. You know what I'm saying? We don't have time to sit here with that nonsense, you know what I'm saying? Because we see a lot of that's continuing to go on. You know what I'm saying? And these people are marching, carrying on all this. Even it said the nation's largest LGBTQ advocate group join others in warning people about visiting Florida. You know what I'm saying? Well, you know what I'm saying? You're asking people to creepy ass, creepy ass nutcase Biden is asking people to accept something that just isn't. It just isn't the human being that is carrying on this way. It is. You could clearly see that. But when you're asking them to accept a concept of something that is not real, then what the hell are you really doing? Nobody has time to play with these people in this matter. You should understand that talking about all that, what it is you so you're telling me that this is your Luciferian world and this is it, and you're carrying on this way? I don't know. But creep Joe Biden under fire for claiming people are thrown out of a restaurant for being gay. Uh, That's not true unless you are pushing an agenda. Because if you walk into a restaurant and it's so, then it's so. But if you go in and you're causing a disturbance, it doesn't matter whether it's LGBTQ, a black person, a white person, which mixed with LGBTQ. Um, it doesn't matter whether it's anybody. If you go in there and you're causing some kind of distraction because you're bringing too much, of your pushing on people and the manager might ask you to quiet it down or be removed. It doesn't matter who it is. So Creep Joe Biden seems to be making up stories as usual because this probably who he really is. But we're moving on. You know what I'm saying? We see the Durham report. The FBI is as bad as you feared. Maybe worse. Imagine that. And guess who's put that together? No other than J. Edgar. I mean, what's his name? He was the one I think headed it up in the beginning during the Nixon era. Another fruit bowl bug nosed Nixon. Another demon Democrat that did a lot of garbage to the black community as well, like bringing drugs and funding it into the black community, and also pushing a mission to destroy the Black Panther Party and many black groups such as MOVE, you know what I'm saying, by dropping a bomb on even their facility where they was living and so forth and all of that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they've been doing a lot of, and not just to blacks, you know what I'm saying? Everybody keep focusing on Blacks is a color, you know what I'm saying? We Africans, you know what I'm saying? But, you know what I'm saying? And Egypt, like Dr. Ben said, and many of us knew, you know what I'm saying, that the word Egypt is a comprised of many words. It's not just, it's one word, but like you said, it has a lot to do with Greekish understanding. You know what I'm saying? But it also have a lot to do with when you look at the word for what it truly is saying, you know what I mean? But we see here, this is coming in by Merle Matthews, opinion commentator 17 hours ago, Eastern Standard Time. We see Special Counsel John Durham has finally released his report looking at the origins of the Trump Russian collusion hoax. If you believe there was or is a deep state of bureaucrats, you know what I'm saying, Washington insiders and power brokers, you know what I'm saying, who operate outside of who? The law. But they won't let you do that, you know what I'm saying, outside of the law. Probably a Luciferian cultic group, you know what I'm saying, outside the law. And do pretty much whatever they want, like sell us out to other races of people. And you know who I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Because they seem to be coming over here and they the one bought up probably a whole lot of treasury bonds and notes and birth papers too. Anyway, but at the same time, brokers who operate outside the law and do pretty much whatever they want. Here it is. But they're censoring the media though, and YouTube and any channel they put up because that channel was put up by them. So we expect them to do that garbage. Period. Same as when you live in a complex like this complex we're living in right here, right now. We see the same garbage. You know what I'm saying? We think that you're gonna move in here and people just gonna be quiet on top of you because you live underneath. While they pack us in and charge us millions of dollars, like $2,800 and $3,000 for a squeezy ass 2-bedroom apartment, on top of another person not even with a fucking excuse me, that don't even have a back door. You know what I'm saying? And all this bull, and then you've got a bunch of clown club heads from this Middle Island area moving in here and doing all types of garbage that they choose to do, drilling holes in the walls, spying on you through the drilling of the holes in every room in the walls to hear what you're saying up here. The fucking maintenance people coming in your house, lifting up your rug, ripping out the wood so they can hear you clear up here. You know what I'm saying? And putting microphones and everything and bugs, and you got Chinese, all kinds of people up in this complex, packed in like sardines, like on a slave ship. So get out of my face. So you think we don't think that you're going to do the garbage that you do? Get out of my face. I'm point blank. Now I done told you, don't do that. Because I know what you're doing before you do it. But I don't have time to babysit your non-thinking screwball liquor. Any true attention. You're not a child. So let's get that straight. You know what I'm saying? But we see they want to operate outside the law. These big, power brokers up in insiders and power brokers and operate outside the law and do pretty much whatever they want in the case you were right. You know what I'm saying? This is coming from my man, John Durham. You know what I'm saying? And I believe every single damn word that he is saying. Chalked up one for the conspiracy theory. And that's a fact and point blank. And Mr. Durham as well. He the one dropping that fire. While Durham Reports has lots of criticism to go around, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, seems to be one of the most crooked bureaus that I've ever seen in my life. Act more like a Gestapo with the secrecy and the carrying on and all kinds of things going down the pipe. You know what I'm saying? And supposed to be what to the people is what we ask. The Bureau of Investigation, you know who they are, is one of the major concerns. Unfortunately, there are two other recent developments that amplify concerns about the FBI. It should be said that the outset, it should be said at the outset that I have known only a few FBI agents. Those agents were dedicated professionals and great individuals, and I continue to believe the same could be said of a vast majority ranks and file agents. But clearly, something has gone amiss, at least at the top. Oh, at the top, yeah. I guess he called it or whatever of the agency. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna say every word that goes in here. Let's start with the Dawn report, since it's the most thorough. Thorough is the most thorough and public. You know what I'm saying? Well, we're interested. First of all, many people run around here talking about secret societies and all the things that they are doing, and we believe every single one of it. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, we don't want to see that shit. It might make us throw up. You know what I mean? But we do go on the reports in which are put out, whether say they're true or not. That's not what journalists do. We put out and then it's fact checked and then we make sure and so on and so on. That's what journalism is mostly about. It's not just about spreading bad news or getting that top story all the time. It's about a lot to do with analyzation as to what is really going on. You know what I'm saying? Without having to go digging into all of that and get yourself caught up in these people mad world. You know what I'm saying? But recall that the Mueller report, recall that Mueller report from Special Counsel Robert S. Mueller. Look at whether, you know what I'm saying, whether there were Russian government efforts to interfere in the 2016 presidential election, including if there were any coordinated efforts with members of the Trump campaign. Trump be dead, baby. Mueller found no such evidence. Me neither. And it wasn't to be. It was just the fact to get him not to be elected. Same thing they're doing now, talking about some goddamn Stormy Daniels. Now the man bust the nut and flick the D. Let it go. The brags ain't sounding right. So same thing with Maxine Waters. I don't know why she keep putting her 2 cents in, and I don't know why she's still in government because she know what an old lady, washed up, fool, a disgrace to me, to the black race. You know what I'm saying? Or to me, I'll say to the African race. You know what I'm saying? But the Dawn report looked into how a Russian collusion hoax gained traction. One key factor was the failure of the FBI, of course, because they probably were working with Creep Joe Biden and the Demon Democrat and the secret society group or whatever. They belong to the cult. You know what I'm saying? According to the report executive summary, the matter, i.e., Crossfire, Hurricane, the FBI names for the Trump investigation, yeah, imagine that, uh-huh, was open as a full investigation without ever having spoken to the persons who provided the information. Okay, yes, they should have went and asked Maxine Waters. But that was a major failure, but failed, but far from the only one. That was a major failure, but far from the only one. The report continues. Further, the FBI did so without I one any signification, or we should say uh, significate or whatever. Well, I should say, no, I should say, uh, 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 without any significant, I should say, review of its own intelligent database. Two, collection and examination of any relevant intelligence from the U.S. intelligence entities. Three, interview of witnesses essential to understand the raw the raw information it had received. Or number four, using any of the standard analytical tools typical employed by the FBI in evaluating raw intelligence. Yeah, okay. Mm-mm-mm. So, the FBI agents in charge of listen to what they name it, Crossfire Hurricane. You know what that means. The demon Democrats' their hands was on fire. That damn hair on the back of their neck, that means that bullshit that they were doing, they push into overdrive. You know what I'm saying? Because they do shit all the way to the extreme until their head turn bald. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, the many lives and the people that died in the hands of these beasts continue to go down the road. You know what I'm saying? Dr. Ben mentioned a lot of that. You hear that Lex. So, the FBI agents in charge of Crossfire Hurricane, pretty much ignored all of their standard procedures for this type of investigation. Those procedures were put into place to protect the public and the privacy of the United States citizens and to prevent the agency from sending resources and to taxpayers' money on wild goose chase, like it turns out Crossfire Hurricane. Had it done so, i.e., what I'm saying, etc., what I'm saying, followed normal procedures, again, as set out in section, I think, 4, it look like, 4A, 3B, and C. You know what I'm saying? Protocol. You know what I'm saying? The FBI would have learned that their own experience, the FBI would have learned that their own experience or their own experienced Russian analyst had no information. Analysts had no information about Trumpy Bear, Trumpy Bear, being involved with Russian leadership officials, nor were others in sensitive position at the CIA, the NSA, and the Department of State aware of such evidence concerning the subject, the report read. So why did they do it in the first place? Because they wanted to take the country into complete chaos. I keep telling people that. This is what they do. While they go out and fulfill their complete agenda of Luciferian Baphomet worship, cultic, fraternal order, bullshit, like Anthony Fauci, Creed Joe Biden, and Billy the Goat, Case Gates. You know what I'm saying? Notice each one and the positions that they hold. You know what I'm saying? But we see blazing act of extremists unveiling the darkness at the White House. Boodum, shall I say, bye. Let's get that straight. You know what I'm saying? And we see a lot of this nutcase foolishness going on all the time. It's one of their specialities, especially spying. You know what I'm saying? That's one of their favorite. They will spy on you in a minute. Hey, yo, but, you know what I'm saying, on that whole joint, you know what I'm saying? Oh, yes, they will. That's a fact. And Point Blizzard, baby. You know what I mean? So they ain't fooling nobody at all with that situation because we already know that that is what they're doing and have been. Why people think it's so brand new is beyond me. That's a fact. You know what I'm saying? That's a fact. You know? That's a damn fact. Why they think for some reason that that is, you know, something that we think don't exist. Yes, it do. It exists in all ways. You know what I mean? It exists in all ways. And they're not fooling anyone. You know what I'm saying? When Point Black speak, you know they're gonna jump on the bandwagon. And that's a fact. They ain't got no choice. What other choice do they have? You tell me.